Welcome to Your Brand Amplified, the podcast where we interview marketers, publicists, and brands to learn their stories, what makes them tick, and tips and tricks that make a difference. Welcome back to Your Brand Amplified. I'm Annika Jackson, and today I'm here with Hilary Erickson. Hilary, you are coming to us as a successful brand. You are the curly head, I love that, behind Pulling Curls. You also have prenatal classes for couples. You have a podcast, you have a book, and you are one of the original online course creators, which is something that a lot of people are interested in but don't know much about. So I'd love for you to talk about your journey from being a nurse to creating your business, your website, your podcast, everything else that you have going on, because you definitely are a woman after my own heart, a mom who also keeps herself very busy and in your creative process. So thank you for being here.
Yeah. So I'm Hilary Erickson. I've been a nurse since 1997, and I have 20 years of labor and delivery experience. And about 2016, so that would be like year 15 of labor and delivery, I really ramped up my website, which I had since 2005. Like, I am a blogging dinosaur. But Pinterest came along. I started to really ramp it up. And then people were just loving my pregnancy content because it was correct and not just like a mom blog. It was like somebody who really had researched it. Right. And I just started amping it up. Maybe this was more like 2014. 2016, I started my course, though, the online prenatal class for couples, which is obviously a very SEO'd name. It's not very fun. And I initially started it as a book. Teachable was like just starting to gain traction. And in my head, it was so expensive for like an area that just seemed very untested, right? So I thought, let's do a book. And then I slowly converted it to a course on my site. And then I moved to Teachable, and then I moved off Teachable. So it's gone through lots of iterations. I'm constantly updating the course, though. I think a lot of people think, oh, it's a set and forget it type mentality. And I've definitely taken the courses that are a set it and forget it. But that's not what I want for my people. I want them to have the most up-to-date research and stuff like that. So yeah. And then I was like, why don't we start a second website? So then in 2020, I started The Pregnancy Nurse, and it's just pregnancy, more academic based. I cite studies and stuff more on there than I did on Pulling Curls. So yeah. And now that's just all mostly what I do. I mostly do pregnancy. I actually have a home organization course, which actually messes nicely with pregnancy, a lot of nesters, and then some family routines, just like getting your family on a routine. Because I don't know that I'm a great parent, but I am great at like getting people to do things.
Oh, that is a really funny statement. And I'm sure you're an excellent parent. And I love that you have taken a different tact, because I know people who are nurses, and most of them are happy to be nurses, or maybe they move into traveling nursing, other things within the field. But you saw an opportunity and something that you were interested in doing and an opening in the market. Did you even know that there was an opening in the market? Or was it just that you realized that you wanted to have another outlet, like a creative outlet beyond your job as a nurse?
Yeah, well, I taught prenatal classes for my hospital, and I absolutely loved it. But the time, it was like 6 p.m. on Tuesday night, so I had to leave at like 5. It's just like prime time for your family. So I was getting like 3 hours of work in, because a nurse always thinks hourly, like I'm getting 3 hours. I'm completely missing all of this with my family. Is that really worth it? And I saw for the couples in there, they were asleep. They were hungry. Everyone's like trying to eat like so quietly. I'm like, girl, bring out the sandwich. Let's feed your babies while we're here, right? Bring out the hot tamales. Whatever keeps you awake in this class. Couples, I always felt bad for this, like the man that was there trying to take notes for his wife that was on a business trip, because they were every Tuesday at 6, and if you missed it, you were out of luck. So I knew for a long time this wasn't working, right? And then people would be like, Hilary, I went home and I started thinking, like, what did you say about XYZ? And I just wanted to review that. And so I'd go back in my notes, but I knew after 3 weeks, Hilary was gone. They had no way to contact me. And so I wanted them to be able to review things at their own time frame and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to be separate from the hospital, because there are some limitations that a hospital gives you in some ways. So it's nice to be separate and have your own thing.
Oh, I'm sure. And also that opened up the possibility of reaching more people than just the people in your geography. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you walk us through the early days of having your blog, having your website, starting your courses, and then how that's shifted or changed in what you see people doing today?
Right. I mean, in 2005, no one was like starting their blog to make money, right? We all were just like, I'd always enjoyed writing. In 7th grade, we made like a pillow of what we wanted to be when we grew up, and mine said writer. And then my parents were like, well, you're not going to make any money doing that. What else do you want to be? And then in high school, I was like, well, I really like science. Why don't I be a nurse, right? So it was exciting to be able to combine two things that I really like. And I actually I love fonts. Like, I was born in 76. So when like fonts were like print shop, I don't know if you remember print shop, like I was all about that. The fonts in there and being able to do stuff. So I love graphic design. So it really just encompassed a lot of the things that I really like to do. And so that's the nice thing about it. But I didn't start doing it to make money. I just started doing it because I loved being in Photoshop. I loved writing. I loved taking pictures. I had a photography business early on. Yeah. So a lot of it was just love. I love to do this. And I love to write articles that might help some pregnant people out there. But then as traction started to grow, you're like, well, how do I monetize this? Went through a few different ad networks. Now I'm on Mediavine, but I did Pad Squad and Blogger, which I don't think is even a thing anymore. And then I initially launched my courses directly on my website without even a subdomain, which was a huge mistake.
Oh, wow.
Because that messes up like everything on your main site when you adjust something on that, So I used a program called Lifter LMS, which I think is still out there and definitely a viable option, but put it on a subdomain. It should have been on courses.bowlingcurls.com instead of just there. So I used Lifter for a while, and then I just felt like it didn't look how you like as professional as you would like it to look because it was on my website. So I still had like my website header on there. I'd taken off ads, obviously, and it was a lot of me coding, which is not something I like to do. That is not one of the things that Hilary loves to do. So I then moved to Teachable, really enjoyed being on Teachable, but Teachable's starting to get more expensive and they really push you to charge a lot for your courses. And I'm sure that's fine for other people, but I knew that one of the things I wanted to do was make my class very affordable so that whoever was able, mine is like $35 monthly. Like you could do 3 months of $35, you'd have it paid off. It's under $100. So I wanted people to be able to afford it. And Teachable's model is just like charge a lot and then pay us a lot. So then I moved to Learn with Thrivecart. And I like it there. I mean, everything's going to have its issues, but that's a one-time payment. And so I'm able to keep costs really nice and low for my people as well.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. That's always a thing of like people who create courses, you hear have a low ticket offer and then sell people into something else, like into private coaching or these.
Right. And I did not want to do private coaching because there's so much like HIPAA. Like, I knew that this was as far as I could really go.
Yeah. Well, and is the information, at least in the US, is it pretty consistent of what people need to consider depending on what kind of childbirth they're going to have, right? The prenatal care should be pretty standard.
So mine is hospital-based, so I know nothing about home birth. I'm not very great on birth center birth. So mine is entirely hospital-based because that's what I'm an expert at. And it even says on my homepage, the easy way to get prepared for your upcoming hospital birth. If you're having a home birth, I'm not the person to teach you how to do that. I have no skills.
No, but that's good. So you have your niche and that's what like you are an expert in. You're a proven expert because you've been building this up for, since the beginning of when people are starting to discover blogs and online and how to utilize it effectively.
Yeah.
So have you found that the ways that you have to reach out to people are different now than how people found you in the early days?
I mean, not so much. A lot of mine is organic marketing. I have tried ads unsuccessfully just because pregnancy, I think, is if I had tried ads back early in the day when probably they could tell you if somebody was pregnant and you could just directly market to them. But now they're so like, that should be protected information. We shouldn't be able to just know who's pregnant on the internet. It makes it hard to target people. I've definitely tried ads. I've done ad courses. Did not work for me. The course creators did not like me in those classes because I was like, this isn't working. And so they were like, you're doing it wrong. And I was like, okay, show me what I'm doing wrong. And they were like, anyway. So mine is a lot of organic marketing. So I do a ton of short form video. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, where I'm just giving snippets. And then I'm like, you really need to take the whole class and sending them to the class as well. And then I have the podcast, I have the website. So it's a lot of just like organic reach out, which I love doing. I know that a lot of people are not going to fit in a prenatal class. So even if they are getting bits and pieces from me, I feel that is meeting part of my need as well.
Yeah. Well, I really respect the fact that you're so upfront about it too, because I think that's another thing. When we go through these course creator classes, or people are trying to tell you what they use that worked for them, but it's not going to work for everybody. It's something that I often think about is like, we're not cookie cutter, right? Like our audiences are on different platforms, the way we need to reach them. And an interesting thing about pregnancy is I have a friend who did taxonomy at Facebook, and she said that anything about birth, pregnancy, like was a no-no for ads, even to the point where Pampers couldn't advertise and do digital advertising on the Meta platform because it was flagging those ads, even though it obviously was related to something. So if somebody had to pick, was talking about their pregnancy, it couldn't even serve that audience. And to your point about protected information as well, knowing that third-party cookies are going away, it's a lot more people are putting privacy, or presumably putting privacy up front and center, whether it's for your website or for digital advertising. I can see why there would be some barriers when you're using those kind of words.
Yeah. I mean, I was never flagged on Facebook. There was no ROI there for me. So I don't know. And also my program is pretty cheap. And I think ads maybe work better when you have like a high value program. I don't know. I mean, I tried them to my freebies. I have freebies for every course. I've tried them to the main class. It never made sense financially for me.
Yeah. And I know that you mentioned before we got on the call that you also used to help people figure out how to promote their paid products. And that's obviously not so much your focus anymore, but can you talk a little bit about that? Were people just seeing that you did it successfully and coming to you and saying, hey, can you help me create mine? Or how did that?
I mean, I've definitely had so many people like who don't even have a website who are like, I was thinking that I might make an online course, Hilary. And I'm like, and they're like, how do I make it? I was like, it's so easy to make an online course, especially if you have skills in that area. The problem is marketing it. And a lot of us just are not marketers at heart. I definitely am not. As a labor nurse, we did not have to market our services at all, right? We weren't on the street corner saying, come get your epidural. Although I'm sure a pregnant woman would have been like, I'll take it right now. And so it's all the marketing. Yeah. But I have shown people how to get it up. And then I've talked about how I organically market. I've done mostly talks at like conferences. I've talked at Mediavines, invited me on a few times, and at a couple of other conferences, just talking about how courses can help. And this was pretty early on when a lot of people were like, oh, courses, I've never really heard of it. And then in 2020, it really blew up. So I don't know that people really need to know how to make the course anymore. I think more they need to know that you need to have a marketing machine backing up your course, or it probably isn't going to end up being worth your time. Yeah.
Yeah. And you also have your podcast. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I was actually at a Mediavine conference where I was speaking on, actually, I was speaking on affiliate marketing, but I was in a class and on podcasting, and I do not like video, which unfortunately now my podcast has turned into a video podcast, which kind of makes me sad. But I loved the idea of just crawling down to my basement and recording something, in my pajamas. And I was like, that's something I can do. Now, my podcast is very open niche because that's how all of mine is. I talk a lot about pregnancy, parenting at home because I can't focus on just pregnancy constantly. I think that would be a real bummer in my life. So, my podcast talks about lots of different things, going to Disneyland, organizing your home. Pregnancy is usually about every other episode because they're the most popular. Also, once people are done being pregnant, they stick with me and we talk about getting their toddlers to sleep or behavior with toddlers and all those different kinds of things. So I think, it's nice to have someone that you've stuck with through your pregnancy and then you can hang around with later on too.
Absolutely. I'm a mom as well, and I did have a hospital birth, and I always planned to have a hospital birth. But I also had a doula who came to help us navigate some of the communication, right? But the funny thing, I think, is like everything I did to prepare for my birth plan, like the music I wanted to listen to, all of that stuff, it like completely went out the window. Like, no, I don't want to hear any of that. Like, I want to change it all. So knowing that, I think it's a huge comfort for women, particularly, to know that there's somebody who's an expert that they can go to, whether it's listening to your podcast, taking your course, or seeing you as a nurse, right?
Yeah. And I have a Facebook page that's super engaged, and I love that Facebook page because I love talking to people about how their plan. It's so great to have thought about things in advance. Honestly, the fact that you're thinking about being in the hospital is a big win for your labor nurse, because a lot of times people are just like, oh, I'm supposed to wear a gown. Oh, there's going to be a hospital bed. Like all of that just kind of catches them off guard. So the idea that you've even prepared a little bit is amazing for your hospital birth and is going to put you miles ahead of other people.
Yeah. Are you ready to take your brand to new heights? Join the Brand Amplifier for Entrepreneurs program. Learn how to build, elevate, and amplify your brand with a comprehensive 10-module course. Learn more about it and other ways to implement our strategies at fullcapacitymarketing.com. Click on EFCM Learning Hub for more information. Can't wait to help you amplify your brand. So what has been the game changer for you in terms of you have your built-in audience, you have a great audience, your podcast now, I presume, through your website, through all your social media. What are some of the game changers that you see coming up with how people market? Do you see that landscape changing significantly, or has it changed significantly even since 2020 when more people were proliferating courses, and 2019 when you started your podcast?
Yeah, I just don't think people are as interested in online courses anymore. Just overall, I think they're thinking they don't want to do it. They did a bunch in 2020 and they're kind of over it. So I wonder if we'll see the pendulum swing back the other way a little bit. I don't know that there's going to be a game changer. It's just constantly like putting out new content, seeing what flies with Google, seeing what flies with social, and then riffing off of that content and making new content and seeing if it flies with, it's just always working. So many people are like, oh, this is going to be my 4-hour work week, or, oh, I can set it and forget it. And it just isn't. And that's okay. Like, because I love this work. When people are like, when are you going to retire? First off, I'm not even close to retiring, but I'm like, I don't see myself retiring because I really enjoy, for the most part, nothing to do with HTML, doing what I do, right? Of course, I hired a tech guy, so that's a big win.
Yeah, nice. Well, and you also talked about you're at this conference and you're talking about affiliate marketing. So is that part of your strategy? Can people sign up to be an affiliate for your courses?
Yeah, so I actually affiliate with other companies because, of course, I have this broad-based lifestyle website that I've been an affiliate for since 2005 for lots of different companies. And so I'm a top affiliate for like a Disneyland travel thing because I write about Disneyland. So I have kind of a unique viewpoint in the fact that I run an affiliate program for my prenatal class, which, yes, people can be an affiliate for me, and I'd love them to be if they have that type of content. But also I work with other companies and do affiliate marketing for them. Ultimately, I end up making more with affiliate through like Amazon, Share a Sale, all those different things than I do paying my own affiliates. But I think it's an interesting viewpoint that I run both of them. Yeah. And so that's mostly why I was there talking with them, just talking about like either how to set up your own program or how to work better with affiliate marketing. My business has ads is a good amount of income, courses is a good amount of income, affiliates, and then every once in a while I do a sponsored post. But, it's nice to have it diversified. I think that's so important in your business because if it was just one of those things, anything could fall and then you're out of luck.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the key. And what I love is that even though you're like, I'm a nurse, I wasn't a marketer, you know so much about the different strategies, and all of the things that you're doing are things that, like when I'm looking at somebody comes to me for PR, I'm like, great, but what are you doing here? And what are you doing here? Do you have these things set up? Because I also know journalists and publications want affiliate links, right? Because to your point, like that's how they make money now, almost more than just the advertising dollars that they're getting in. Yeah. So that landscape's changed a little bit. And if you don't understand affiliate, it's something that's really important to start to understand. So the fact that you do both sides gives you a real competitive advantage.
Yeah. And I really enjoy it because I love sharing products that I love, right? There's a Disney travel agency that I worked with forever, planning my own trips. And now I share it on my website because I think it's the easiest way to plan a Disneyland trip. So it makes it really easy to share when I'm not like, well, there's this place that you might want to try. I've never tried it before versus I've tried it so many times.
Yeah. And do you find that, when people send you products to try, and do they need to always have an affiliate link, or do you say, you can send me your product, but I'm only going to write about it if I really like it, and I need to have an affiliate link? How does that work? Because I think there are a lot of people listening who don't really understand the affiliate marketplace or know how to. And you're honestly, because of the position you're in, you're able to demystify a lot of this for the brands that are listening right now.
Yeah. Me as my course, I'm not losing much when I give it to affiliates, right? I understand that when a company sends me a $300 product, they're giving away a little bit of their income versus me, where I'm just like, I'm taking my time to put you in my course, which you probably wouldn't have bought anyway because you're 50 or whatever, that type of thing. But usually what I'll say is I'm happy to look over the product with absolutely no obligation, and then we can talk about it. And I think in there, I also say, and I will not ship it back to you, because I've had companies ask me to ship it back to them. And I'm like, you can send a UPS guy on your own dime, but I'm not leaving this house to ship this back to you, because and that company, I actually told them no twice, because I was like, this doesn't, and then when I didn't like it, they were like, okay, you ship it back to us. And I was like, no, will not.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So what I'm hearing, if you're tuning in and you are thinking about working with affiliates, especially people who are also in a position to have your product on their high profile blog or other publication, don't expect the product back. To make sure that they really want to write about it, or that they're interested and engaged with the product before you send it, right? And that
or have an idea how they could even market it. Because sometimes people just like throw something out, like people talk to me about like marijuana or CBD, and I actually have an article on my website about how it's not good during pregnancy use. So I'm always like, you all didn't even look at it all. I'm not saying that there's not a home for those type of things, but I am not your home. you know?
Yeah. And so making sure that, gosh, that's really surprises me, because I feel like as people who are helping promote somebody's product or service, number one thing to do is research. Make sure that the publication or the outlet that you're pitching to, or even the podcast you're pitching to, right?
Right.
It's a good fit for your speaker, your product, your service, whatever you're trying to offer.
Yeah, because even if they just typed in marijuana, it would come up.
Yeah. Yeah. To show, I am a pregnancy expert. This is that fits. What else would you want to share with us today about starting this business journey and figuring out how to navigate and what fits for online businesses?
I think you just have to do the parts that you love, because there are parts that I do not love. And so I've just like, that's just not going to happen. There's enough that do work, that fill my time, that I just leave the other things to the sides. But a lot of people come up and they're like, I'd like to make money on a website. And I'm like, that's amazing. What do you like to do? And they just kind of glaze over. And I'm like, do you like to write? And they're like, no. I'm like, do you love digital design? No. Do you, and they just want to make money on a website. Whereas I really think you need to like some of those things for the most part before you really start doing it, because your readers can tell if you're just like plodding away, typing, whatever. And so I want to have fun doing it so that my readers know that I'm interested and engaged in the subject as well. So I think if you're not interested in whatever your thing is, then do something else. There's so many ways to make money out there. You can try something different.
Absolutely. And you also made a great point earlier about the fact that you're constantly renewing the information to make sure it's like fresh, up to the moment. And that is something I think a lot of people don't consider when you're creating a course. I have a course on branding, because a lot of people come to me for PR, and I'm like, you're not ready for PR. You need to make sure that you have your brand, your customer personas, your messaging, so that it's going to be a much longer lasting, launch, right? Like if you...
Yeah, and you have to stay with, mine was Jessica, right? I have to stay with Jessica because her needs are different now than they were before COVID, right? Jessica's a different person, even though she's still 30 with 2 little kids or whatever. Jessica's different.
Okay, thank you. I love it, because I'm always like, name your personas. And that's one thing, like my students in university, when I was going through this process with them, I was like, name your people. And somebody would put like business owner. I'm like, okay, it has to at least be Bobby business owner. Like you have to actually put a name so you can visualize the person, and it's not just some generic stand-in.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people in your position also wouldn't have understood all of the things that you do to get this to market.
Right. It's not just giggles and fun. Like a lot of people, it's frustrating to be on Facebook and all of the ads about like create your course in 1 hour, market your course in 1 hour. You'll make 6 figures a month. I'm like, you might make that once when you launch it, right? But then everybody's going to be like, this course is crap, and you're not going to get any word of mouth. And that's not a great feeling either. Nobody wants to hear that their course wasn't any good.
Yeah, no, not at all. So what does your day-to-day look like now? Are you still working as a nurse?
I am not. I quit fall 2020. They wanted to float us to the ICU. And I was like, no, I really can't. That's not in the 20 years.
Yeah. And you have a family. Like you have to take care of your kids and your family at home and make sure that their health is protected during that time.
Yeah. So I had done it 20 years. I felt like, I have some experience here. We're good to go. But so I don't work in labor and delivery anymore, but I read studies one day a week. I dive into some of the most recent studies on pregnancy. I've been like looking at the RSV vaccine that's just come out. So I'm always trying to stay up to date with how things are changing. So in the morning, I get up, I do some meditation, because it is hard to run your own business and to stay focused on like staying positive, right? Because things always look like they're sliding downhill, I feel like. So, and then I just get up, and every day I have tasks already assigned. Like on Mondays, I work on SEO. On Tuesdays, I work on newsletter. On Wednesdays, I work on Pinterest. Thursdays, I make video. Fridays, I work on Facebook, right? So every day kind of has stuff assigned to it. And all along the way, I'm making posts. I try and work on posts every day because that's usually my main driver is website traffic. So for me, if I got up and it was just a blank slate every day, it would be really hard for me to figure out what I was going to do. So for me, it really helps to have just a schedule where I do this and this and this and this, and then I move on. And that's not to say I don't, make it flexible and adjust things, but I really like knowing that every day I have something assigned and I'm staying on task because, yeah.
Well, because so much comes up in life every day. Like I think about my Monday this week, and I took my daughter to school, needed to walk the dogs, get my work day started. And then my daughter's like, do you have any meetings during lunch? Because I forgot something I need for my math test. So then you go back to school. So you have to have some flexibility to do the things that come up in your day, especially as moms, right?
Yeah, but if my kids forget their lunch, they get one freebie. And then after that, they have to pay me back with however much time it took me to go back to school. So usually I do one of my jobs.
Yeah. I'm going to flag that. Yeah. So I was like, well, it is for math and she needs this calculator and, okay, she can do it this time. But then I said, you need to make sure you have everything ready for the rest of the week for any other tests or anticipated needs because I can't drive back and forth every day. Mommy has to work.
I know. Yeah.
But I love that you have at least the structure of here's the thing that I know I will accomplish every day. And so I think that's also really important because it can get very overwhelming as business owners. So if we can all think about the one thing that you have to get done that day or have that cadence of, okay, Tuesdays I do this, Wednesdays I do this, that helps set up a framework so that you can feel successful, right? And that you can feel like I accomplished the minimum I needed to do. And then you can see what else you can fit into your day depending on what comes up.
Yeah, if I made a video every time I had a great video idea, I would be in my video room all the time, right? So it's really nice to just write it on my Post-it note. And then on Thursday, I'm going to get to that video and I'm going to get to all the other videos and then just have them done on Thursdays instead of constantly running back downstairs, setting up the camera, stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of video, you said that you liked being able to go downstairs to your basement office, record, and now it's video. Is that because you've seen that more people are accepting video like vodcasts or because you can use it for video content for your socials, SEO, all of that?
Yes, it's just an easy way to get video content to put on a reel or something like that. So all my videos I post to TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, sometimes Pinterest if I'm in a good mood. I tried LinkedIn, but I just don't think people think to connect with me in a pregnancy way on LinkedIn. I think people are thinking in a business way on LinkedIn. So
it's about LinkedIn.
It's nice. I did try it. It just wasn't very successful. So it's just nice to have one video. It's already ready. I have 30 videos sitting on my phone just waiting to go out. Of course, I just filmed today. So that's a fresh week or probably the month. But, just set to go out. I can just put them on each one and put it out. Yeah. But the more you do it, it's just jump in and do it. I know how to film on TikTok. So that's where I film, even though I post them to other places too.
Yeah. Fantastic. So if people wanted to follow you, which are the best platforms? Should they go to your website and then look at your social links? Should they start with social media?
Yeah, so you can come to either website. So Pregnancy Nurse is pregnurse.com because Pregnancy Nurse was super expensive. And my tech guy was like, not worth it. Nobody will type in pregnancy, right? So just go. And then I have Pulling Curls. So Pulling Curls is my main lifestyle type brand. It does have, so I started income reports at the beginning of my website. So if you look under miscellaneous, you can see blogging for income and it will show you all of my income reports from when I started until I hit about 10,000, just because I felt like at 10,000, it wasn't as helpful as it was when I was just beginning. But I do have some good tips on there. But if you're pregnant or looking for pregnancy information, find me on the Pregnancy Nurse. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, all the things. Yep.
Awesome. And do you have a favorite quote, mantra, family motto, verse that you would like to share with us today that kind of sums up whether it's this week, this day, the month, or just how you flow through life?
So mine is from Ted Lasso. I don't know if you're a Ted Lasso fan, but I took it as religion. for basically me. But mine is, I love the scene where Beard, they're at the bar outside with his little boy and they're singing Hey Jude. And he goes, you have the power to take a sad song and make it better. And I think that is so important because I think we, especially as a creator, I'm at the whim of Google, Facebook. I don't have a lot of control as far as those types of things, but I always have the power to take my sad song and to make it better. And so that's been my favorite quote lately, just because I loved that scene so much. And then you get the na 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 na, right?
On fire. Yeah. Then you get to sing. Fantastic. This has been really fun. And I'm so glad. I know I had a couple delays on my side, so I'm glad we're finally here and able to have this conversation. Hilary, I really appreciate all of the knowledge that you've dropped on us today. I'm also thinking about people I can pitch to you for the podcast. And like, I have a couple products that might need to be on your website.
Yeah, let me know. I'm always open to things. I do have like a person who reads all my email, but if people say they saw me on this podcast, hopefully Jen will kick them through to me.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And to my audience, thank you for listening or watching another episode with another great brand expert on Your Brand Amplified. I'll be back again in a few days with another excellent guest. Want more? Check out amplifywithannika.com or follow me on socials at amplifywithannika.